Welcome back, Cowboys fans. Let's talk about the topic we can't seem to escape, Micah Parsons. Now listen, nobody loves hearing Micah's name in the headlines more than the media, but at some point, enough is enough. This man deserves to focus on his game, his career, and his success without every single word being dissected. But here we are again. And look, I promised myself I wouldn't dive into all the little comments he's made about the Cowboys, about Green Bay, about this and that, but here we go. Because whether we like it or not, this storyline is going to keep following us right up until week 4. That's just reality. Micah, man, you're making it tough. Cowboys Nation wants to move on. We want to focus on the season, on winning games, on proving people wrong. But when you keep tossing out comments and stirring the pot, it drags us right back into the drama. After that game against the Packers, you had your say. And trust me, fans noticed. One sack in garbage time doesn't make headlines the way the media wants it to. We all saw it. We watched the film. Yeah, you had some good reps against Penei Sewell, but still, this isn't about one sack or one matchup. It's about the noise that follows you everywhere. And that's what makes this whole thing frustrating. Cowboys fans want to celebrate you, not constantly defend you or fight through the headlines. So let's get into it. Now, I'll give credit where it's due, Micah still had his flashes. He got some real pressure on the quarterback, and one of those plays even led directly to an interception. That's who Micah Parsons is. Nobody doubts his talent. Cowboys fans never doubted it, and the Cowboys organization knew exactly what they had in him. That's why they valued him so highly in the first place. But here's the thing, this situation feels less like a clean break and more like someone who can't stop looking back at their ex. You've got the new team, the new locker room, the fresh start, but it still seems like the old flame is living rent-free in your head. And that's where the frustration comes in. It almost feels like Micah's trying too hard to build up Green Bay, to hype them, to convince himself and everyone else that this was the better move. But when you start throwing shade back at Dallas while boosting your new squad, it doesn't come across as confidence. It comes across as reaching. Then he drops this clip, talking about how the last 6 months were toxic, how it was draining, how no player should have to deal with that. And that's when Cowboys Nation collectively raised an eyebrow. Because listen, no one's saying Dallas has been perfect. No one's saying the front office doesn't have issues. But when you start framing your entire exit like you escaped some impossible nightmare, that's when fans are going to call you out. Here's the reality, Micah, you can't control when a team decides to hand out a massive contract. That's not your call. You're an NFL superstar, one of the very best at your position, no doubt about it. Nobody can take that away from you. But at the end of the day, front offices handle their business their way. Jerry Jones has been through this before. He's admitted he's paid players too early in the past, guys like Michael Gallup, Terrence Steele, even Trayvon Diggs, and it didn't always work out. That's why he's cautious now. He'd rather wait, pay a little more later, and make the right decision, than jump too early and get stuck with a bad contract. From a business standpoint, it makes sense. So when you, Micah, start criticizing that process, saying it's toxic, saying it was outrageous, you put yourself in a tough spot. Because whether fans agree with Jerry or not, the truth is you can't dictate how ownership handles their money. That's not on you. And here's what makes it frustrating for Cowboys fans, we want to root for you. We want to wish you success, even in Green Bay, while still cheering for Dallas. But when you keep framing yourself as the victim, when you keep calling the organization toxic, it makes it harder for fans to let go. Yes, being traded a week before the season was tough. Yes, injuries complicate everything. Nobody's denying that. But continuing to play the victim doesn't help your case, it only adds fuel to the fire. Let's be real here, some of this situation falls on you, Micah. Requesting a trade in the middle of training camp? That's not just rough for the front office, it's brutal for the coaches and for the locker room. Guys were trying to focus on football, and instead, it felt like there was a distraction hanging over the entire team. And then there's the promises. You once told fans you'd take less than $40 million if it meant the Cowboys could build a roster around you to win. Fans believed that. They trusted that. But when the time came, the numbers didn't match the words. You turned down a deal that would have paid you more than $40 million a year. And that stung, because for 2 years, you said money wasn't the issue. That's why so many people in Cowboys Nation feel burned. You left, you got traded, and instead of moving forward, you keep firing shots back at Dallas. And for fans who supported you, for Jerry Jones who openly showed love for you, that's a tough pill to swallow. Because make no mistake, Jerry made you one of his guys. Everybody knows when Jerry chooses a player as one of his own, he wears that loyalty on his sleeve. And he gave that to you. He wanted you in Dallas long term. And we can't forget what Jerry himself said. During minicamp, he reached out to you directly. He asked you to have your agent call him. He wanted to get the deal done. And the fact that no one, neither you nor your camp, ever denied that tells fans everything they need to know. So when the story gets told, Cowboys fans see both sides. But they also see the truth. Not everything was done to keep this relationship together. And honestly, that's what makes this whole thing even more frustrating. Jerry came to you during minicamp and told you to have your agent call him. If that wasn't the case, why didn't you deny it? What was that conversation really about? And here's what really gets me, the narrative. People keep pushing this idea that the Cowboys waited too long, that they dragged their feet. But Micah, you're feeding right into that. It feels like you've been trying to control the story from the very beginning, promising things to fans, saying one thing publicly, but then not standing on those words when it mattered. The truth is, your play is good enough to speak for itself. You don't need to control the narrative. You're already one of the most dominant defenders in the league. Fans want to root for you. I want to root for you. But every time you turn the spotlight back on Dallas and paint yourself as the victim, it just leaves everyone shaking their heads. Instead of tearing down the Cowboys, why not build up the Packers? You guys just beat Detroit. Talk about that. Talk about how dangerous your defense looked. Talk about Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, Devontae Wyatt. Talk about how you were out there creating pressure, finishing with that late sack, forcing turnovers, showing the league that Green Bay is for real. That's the story fans want to hear. That's how you move forward. But when you keep circling back to Dallas, trying to twist the narrative, it only keeps the wound open. And that's why so many Cowboys fans are frustrated. No, Micah. That's where so many of us draw the line. Because for a lot of Cowboys fans, this isn't just football. This is life. Generations have lived and died with this team. We've celebrated some of the best moments of our lives because of the Cowboys, and we've suffered through heartbreaks too. That's what being part of Cowboys Nation means. So when you paint yourself as the victim, when you call it toxic, when you say no player should go through this, it stings. Because let's be honest, this didn't all just happen to you. You tried to handle negotiations yourself. You stepped into your agent's lane. You got personally involved in things that should have stayed business. And when that backfired, the entire situation spiraled. Yes, the Cowboys share some blame. Jerry has always been cautious with contracts. Players get frustrated by the wait, and sometimes it drags out too long. But at the same time, accountability has to go both ways. You weren't just caught in a storm, you helped create it. And here's the truth, Cowboys fans want the front office to do what's best for the team long term. That doesn't mean paying everyone early. It means being smart, waiting if they need to, and keeping flexibility to build a roster that can compete every single year. Dallas has big contracts to manage: CeeDee Lamb, Trayvon Diggs, Darren Bland, and more. The Packers don't have those same financial pressures, so of course their approach looks different. But in Dallas, every move matters. And if waiting an extra year ensures the team gets it right, most fans are okay with that. Because at the end of the day, it's about one thing: keeping the Cowboys in position to win. And here's the hardest part: it hurts. Losing Micah Parsons broke a lot of hearts. Cowboys Nation felt it. His family probably felt it too. Even Micah himself, deep down, had to feel that pain. That's what happens in sports. Sometimes a breakup cuts deeper than anyone expects. But the real problem now is what's happening afterward. Fans are starting to turn on him. Instead of focusing on his play, people are questioning his attitude. They're saying, "Now I see why Jerry hesitated. Now I understand." And that's not because of the trade, it's because of the comments, the shots at Dallas, the need to keep stirring things up. I don't even like reacting to half the stuff Micah says anymore, because honestly, it just fuels negativity. Fans have been lied to and let down too many times, so when they hear a star take digs at the team they love, it cuts deep. It sparks anger. And suddenly, the conversation shifts from celebrating his talent to questioning his character. Then you hear him in Green Bay saying things like, "These guys embraced me. They believe in my talent. I'm going to give them everything I have. I know what's at stake." And that's fine. That's what any fanbase wants to hear. Packers fans should love that. But Cowboys fans? They can't help but think, why couldn't you keep it about Green Bay without throwing shade at us? Because when you keep dragging Dallas into it, you make it harder for the people who once cheered the loudest for you to keep supporting you now. Good luck, Micah. Honestly. At this point, I'm not even mad anymore, it's just disappointing. And yeah, I know I sound passionate, but that's because this matters. Cowboys Nation cares. But here's the thing, it feels like Micah's living in a reality that no one else sees. 2 weeks after the trade, he's still talking about Dallas, still framing the Cowboys as toxic, still trying to push that narrative. And for what? If this were Cowboys week, sure, we'd expect questions, we'd expect answers. But this? This is dragging it out. This is keeping the wound open when it should already be healing. And that's what's so frustrating. Because Cowboys fans want to move on. We want to focus on the season, on what this team can do right now. Instead, we keep getting pulled back into the same drama. And it's exhausting. So yeah, good luck in Green Bay, Micah. Go prove yourself. Go dominate. But as for us? Cowboys Nation will always stand strong. No matter what anyone says, no matter who leaves, no matter how many shots get thrown, we're still here. We're still them boys.